It was a crisp autumn evening when Dr. John Watson, ever the loyal companion, returned to 221B Baker Street to find Sherlock Holmes immersed in a symphony of melodies, his violin singing a tune that resonated with both melancholy and intrigue. The detective's eyes were closed, his bow dancing effortlessly across the strings, filling the room with an air of contemplative serenity. As the final note lingered in the air, Holmes lowered his instrument and turned to Watson, a glint of anticipation in his piercing gaze. "Ah, Watson," he began, "I trust your day has been uneventful." "Quite so, Holmes," Watson replied, removing his coat and settling into his armchair. "But I suspect yours is about to take a turn towards the extraordinary." Holmes's lips curled into a subtle smile. "Indeed, we have been summoned to the Royal Albert Hall. It appears that the renowned violinist, Maestro Antonio Stradivari III, has vanished without a trace on the eve of his grand performance." Watson's brow furrowed in concern. "Disappeared? How is that possible?" "That, my dear Watson, is precisely what we must ascertain," Holmes declared, rising to don his coat and hat. "The concert is scheduled for tomorrow evening, and the absence of the maestro has thrown the orchestra into disarray. We must make haste." Upon arriving at the illustrious venue, the duo was greeted by the anxious conductor, Sir Reginald Pembroke. His face was pale, and his hands trembled as he led them through the labyrinthine corridors of the hall. "Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, thank you for coming on such short notice," Sir Reginald stammered. "Maestro Stradivari was last seen in his dressing room late last night, rehearsing diligently. This morning he was nowhere to be found, and his violin, a priceless family heirloom, has also vanished." Holmes surveyed the opulent surroundings, his keen eyes absorbing every detail. "Was there any sign of a struggle? Any unusual occurrences?" "None that we could discern," Sir Reginald replied, wringing his hands. "The room was in perfect order, the door locked from the inside. It's as if he simply evaporated into thin air." Holmes nodded thoughtfully. "I would like to examine the maestro's dressing room." The conductor led them to a lavishly furnished chamber adorned with rich velvet drapes and gilded mirrors. A grand piano stood in one corner, sheet music meticulously arranged atop it. Holmes moved methodically through the room, his fingers gliding over surfaces, his eyes scanning for the subtlest of clues. "Watson, observe," Holmes called, pointing to a small, barely noticeable scuff mark on the polished wooden floor near the window. "This mark is fresh. It suggests that something heavy was moved recently." He then approached the window, inspecting the latch. The window was tampered with from the outside. "See the faint scratches here. Someone forced it open." Watson peered over his shoulder. "But we're on the second floor. Surely it would be a daunting task to enter or exit through this window." "Precisely," Holmes agreed, "which implies the involvement of an individual with both the agility and the motive to orchestrate such a feat." Turning back to Sir Reginald, Holmes inquired, "Tell me, who among the orchestra had close interactions with Maestro Stradivari?" The conductor hesitated before responding. "Well, there's Eliza Montgomery, our first chair violinist. She's been the maestro's protégé for years. Then there's Victor Petrov, the cellist, who has had his disagreements with the maestro over artistic interpretations." Holmes's eyes narrowed. "I see. I would like to speak with both of them." Eliza Montgomery was a striking young woman with an air of poise and confidence. Her eyes, however, betrayed a hint of distress as she recounted her last encounter with the maestro. "Maestro Stradivari was like a father to me," she confessed, her voice quivering. We practiced together late into the night. He seemed troubled, but he wouldn't confide in me. I left around midnight, and that was the last I saw of him. Next, they spoke with Viktor Petrov, a burly man with a stern demeanor. He met their questions with a scowl. Yes, the maestro and I had our differences, he admitted gruffly. He was a perfectionist, always insisting things be done his way. But I respected him. I had no reason to wish him harm. Holmes studied both musicians intently, noting their body language and tone. After concluding the interviews, he turned to Watson. "Jealousy and ambition are potent motivators, Watson," he mused. "But I sense there's more at play here." As they delved deeper into the orchestra's dynamics, a pattern began to emerge. Rumors of a clandestine romance between Eliza and the maestro had sparked envy among her peers. Additionally, financial records revealed that Viktor Petrov stood to gain a substantial sum if the concert were cancelled due to the maestro's absence. As the final notes of the maestro's performance reverberated through the grand hall, the audience erupted into a standing ovation, their applause a thunderous testament to the evening's success. Backstage, amidst the flurry of congratulatory embraces and jubilant chatter, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson observed quietly, their presence a stark contrast to the surrounding celebration. Holmes's sharp gaze scanned the room, noting the subtle exchanges between orchestra members, the fleeting glances, the whispered words, the lingering touches. Each interaction painted a complex tapestry of relationships, hinting at undercurrents of rivalry, unspoken affections, and concealed resentments. Dr. Watson, ever attuned to his friend's contemplative moods, leaned in. "Holmes, you've unraveled the mystery and restored the maestro to his rightful place. Yet, I sense there's more that occupies your mind." Holmes's lips curved into a faint smile. "Indeed, Watson. While the immediate peril has been addressed, the intricate dynamics within this orchestra present a fascinating study of human nature. The interplay of ambition, envy, and passion here is as complex as any symphony." As the evening progressed, the atmosphere grew more convivial. Maestro Stradivari, now free from the shadow of his ordeal, approached Holmes and Watson, his expression a blend of gratitude and lingering concern. "Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson," he began, his voice tinged with emotion. "Words cannot convey my appreciation for your intervention. Yet I fear the revelations of this incident may leave lasting scars upon our ensemble." Holmes regarded the maestro thoughtfully. "True, maestro. Trust, once fractured, requires time and effort to mend. However, adversity often serves to strengthen the bonds between individuals, provided there is a collective will to heal and move forward." The maestro nodded, his gaze drifting to where Eliza Montgomery stood, conversing quietly with fellow musicians. Eliza's involvement, though misguided, stemmed from a place of deep-seated insecurity and manipulation by Petrov. "I hope the others can find it within themselves to forgive and support her." Dr. Watson interjected gently. "Understanding the root causes of one's actions is the first step toward reconciliation. Open dialogue and empathy will be essential in the days to come." As the celebration continued, Holmes's attention was drawn to a solitary figure standing apart from the rest, Viktor Petrov. The cellist's once defiant demeanor had crumbled, replaced by a visage marked with remorse and resignation as he was escorted by authorities. Ambition, when left unchecked, can lead one down treacherous paths, Holmes mused aloud. Petrov's talents were undeniable, yet his inability to reconcile his aspirations with reality precipitated his downfall. Watson sighed. a tragic reminder that the pursuit of greatness must be tempered with humility and integrity. As the evening drew to a close, the maestro took to the stage once more, addressing his assembled colleagues. Tonight, we have faced trials that tested our unity and resolve. Let this experience serve not as a source of division, but as a catalyst for growth and renewed commitment to our art and to each other. The orchestra members responded with a resounding applause, their collective resolve evident. Holmes and Watson exchanged a satisfied glance. "Our work here is done, Watson," Holmes remarked, retrieving his coat and hat. As they stepped out into the cool night air, the distant hum of the city enveloping them, Watson couldn't help but reflect on the evening's events. "Holmes, do you ever tire of the ceaseless complexities of human nature?" Holmes chuckled softly. "On the contrary, my dear Watson. It is the infinite variability of mankind that renders our endeavors perpetually engaging. Each case, each individual, offers a new puzzle, a fresh melody to decipher." With that, the two friends made their way down the lamplit streets of London, ready to face whatever enigmas awaited them beyond the next corner.